I am sure that my partner hacked my phone and is monitoring me. I am going through an extremely difficult situation. I feel like my partner is acting secretive. I believe he may have hacked my phone, is monitoring me when I'm not at home, gained access to all my online accounts, and is constantly lying. My partner works as an electrical technician, and I am certain that he has enough technical knowledge to pull all of this off. I feel lost and desperately need advice. How can I understand what is happening, and what steps should I take next? Everything started when our family ordered new devices in February. The day after placing the order, we received a strange phone call. A man said that one of the 4 phones shipped to us was not new, but refurbished. That already seemed odd because he introduced himself as an employee of a major mobile carrier, called our landline several times, and said that he would definitely call back at 5 o'clock to discuss this with my partner, but he never did. On March 12th, the carrier received all of our old devices and reset them to factory settings. About 3 weeks later, on April 3rd, I received an email and a message saying that my TikTok account had been hacked. The email address and phone number linked to it were removed. After checking the activity logs, it turned out that this was done from a Samsung Galaxy S22 somewhere in another state. I live in a completely different region. This alarmed me because the Samsung Galaxy S22 was exactly the phone I had recently returned to the carrier. Around the same time in early April, I received a notification about an unauthorized login to my eBay account. I don't remember the exact date, but it happened around the same time as the TikTok incident. During the first week of April, I used my partner's phone and noticed that his WhatsApp was open but required a fingerprint to enter. He normally uses biometric protection only for banking apps, so this caught my attention. On May 1st, I used his tablet with his permission. We supposedly have nothing to hide from each other. I checked the activity in his Google account to see if there was anything related to WhatsApp. There were more than a dozen WhatsApp launches recorded, even though he claimed he only uses it for work and never at night. I also saw activity related to file management apps and noticed that he was opening files in his gallery at strange hours. Through his Google activity, I accessed his cloud storage account from the mobile carrier and found recently deleted photos of his female coworker, as well as some random nude images. In addition, I noticed contacts in WhatsApp whose names had specific labels added to the end. I wrote down about 12 female names and phone numbers and took photos of his activity using my own phone. When I confronted him with all of this, he said yes, in the past he had messaged women and received photos from them, but that was many years ago. According to him, he is hiding nothing now. Within a couple of days after I discovered all of this on his tablet, strange things started happening to my own phone. All photos disappeared, except for the screenshots of his Google activity. Thousands of photos were gone. In the following weeks, apps started malfunctioning. The phone had to be constantly restarted. I also began to feel like the camera was turning on by itself and possibly taking pictures without my knowledge. Around the same time, I discovered a broadcast channel on my phone that was created in my name, even though I never created it. I also saw a message in the settings stating that permission from an IT administrator was required to open certain apps. Of course, I have no administrator. I am a stay-at-home partner. By May 6th, my phone was in terrible condition. Just looking at it was enough to see that something was wrong. Settings, apps, icons, some apps couldn't be opened at all, while others that I had definitely deleted somehow reappeared. Strange files dated January 1st, 1980 were scattered throughout the phone, and I couldn't open them. That same day, I noticed that my partner could not properly communicate via messages. He was sending messages, but I wasn't receiving them. I started thinking, just like he did, that several devices in our home were infected with malware or had been hacked. Around May 7th or 8th, the situation with my phone suddenly became much worse. I realized that my text messages were being intercepted by someone. All real conversations were replaced with strings of random letters and numbers. When I tapped on these altered messages, they all displayed the same random image over and over again. Even more terrifying was the fact that among them appeared several new messages that I had never written or received before, containing disturbing phrases like, "He is back, and I am watching you." My partner pretended that nothing was happening, and left me in a state of fear and loneliness. We started arguing again because of all this, especially because of his complete indifference to my condition. But he stubbornly insisted that he knew nothing, and that I needed to stop imagining things. By that point, I was on the verge of a breakdown. My partner swore that he had done nothing wrong and claimed that the data shown in his Google account was incorrect. And the more we argued, the more strange things began happening with my phone. My Facebook account showed that it was logged in on 12 devices. My Snapchat username changed to my daughter's name. It felt like every time I searched for something I had seen on his tablet, I immediately stumbled upon traces of numerous apps, browsers, and web packages that he uses to carefully hide everything. I was starting to look more and more like a crazy person. On the evening of May 7th, I was so overwhelmed that I decided to perform a factory reset. But when I tried to start it, nothing worked. Instead, a message appeared saying, "Contact customer support." The next day, May 8th, I called them. The representative tried to help me perform the reset remotely, but even he could not understand why nothing was working. Samsung specialists had to be involved. After checking the device, they stated that my phone was corrupted at a base system level. They agreed to send me a replacement. I sent them my damaged phone, and the very next day on May 9th I received a new one. I expressed my concerns to my partner about logging into my accounts again on the new phone and said that if he was truly being honest with me, he should also be worried about the security of his own accounts. He assured me that he would log into my cloud storage from his laptop to restore my photos and other information. He said that I would not need to do anything at all on the new phone, which made me especially uneasy. He showed a strangely obsessive interest in making sure that he had access to my cloud account. He mentioned it over and over again, which felt suspicious to me. Even after everything that had happened, he continued to assure me that nothing bad would happen to my new phone. I kept repeating that I was still worried, but he was 99.9% confident that everything would be fine. When I called customer support to activate the new phone, he was right next to me. Part of the conversation with the representative was handled by him, part by me. Even though I felt it was a bad idea, we decided to keep my old phone number. To my horror, as soon as the new phone turned on, everything started all over again. The same strange messages, the same strings of random symbols, and the same repeating image. At that moment, I immediately told customer support that I wanted a new phone number. I explained what had happened and they agreed. That's when I realized that my Samsung account was likely compromised as well, so I created a new one. I now had a new phone, a new number, new accounts, and new passwords for everything. I even started a special notebook for passwords so I wouldn't get confused. I believe it was May 13th when I told my partner that I had created new Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram accounts. On Saturday, May 17th, while my partner was out of town, I used his laptop to log into my cloud storage, restore my old photos, and download them onto my new phone. My partner really did not like this, especially the fact that I did it without him, and that all of my cloud data was now on my phone instead of on his laptop, where he would have had full access. That same day, May 17th, he left his tablet at home, and I once again checked his Google activity. Despite his assurances that he only uses WhatsApp for work and only during specific hours, there were again records showing usage late at night and early in the morning, during the exact hours when he swore he never opened it. While taking the final screenshots of his activity, I also checked the Google Play download history on both his phone and his tablet. Suddenly, they appeared to be linked, even though they had always been separate before. I discovered several apps listed there that he categorically denied having. For example, the Google Play history clearly showed that the SmartThings app was installed and actively used on his devices. On Monday morning, May 19th, I deliberately messaged him and asked whether he used SmartThings. He replied that he did not. However, his Google activity clearly showed the opposite. Later that same morning at 10:19, I sent him a message saying that I was going to lie down for a bit and might miss his lunchtime call. Just 11 minutes later at 10:30, his Google activity showed that he had used the SmartThings app. It also showed that he had used our home router application, the Netgear Nighthawk Wi-Fi app, the Bose speaker application, Microsoft OneDrive, Google Lens, and that his phone had previously been paired with our smart television. Even more concerning was the fact that in his app list I saw several programs that are commonly used for tracking and monitoring: Family Link, Life 360, Google Hub, and a group sharing application. Notably, all of these apps appeared only after we upgraded our devices. He had never had anything like this before. When I asked him about this, he again responded in his usual way, saying that someone was breaking into his accounts, that he had nothing to do with it, and that he did not use any of those apps. And now, returning to the very beginning of this whole story, when I first found contacts on his phone with female names labeled with WhatsApp, I had written down about a dozen names and numbers. Recently, I came across that list again and decided to check 4 or 5 of them through Google number search. To my surprise, all of them led to the same website. This seriously alarmed me. I started wondering whether these were real numbers or some kind of method he uses to disguise conversations. Or perhaps he added those contacts deliberately so that I would find them, argue with him, and once again feel like I was losing my mind. Then on Friday, May 23rd, I received emails from Samsung and Google notifying me of login attempts to my new accounts. At that moment, my partner was in the same room with me and at least outwardly was doing nothing and not touching any devices. Around the same time, when I tried to recover my old Facebook account, the system suggested that I log in using devices where I was already authorized. Among them was my partner's laptop, even though I had never used his computer to log into my Facebook account. And just 2 days ago, when I again used his laptop to try to fix something with Facebook, I simply typed Yahoo Mail into the search bar and discovered that I was already logged into my new Yahoo account. I had never opened this account. Additionally, last week my new WhatsApp account, which I had just created, was suddenly blocked. When I contacted support, they restored it but informed me that I had been temporarily logged out of linked devices due to data synchronization issues. They explained that if the system cannot verify that data is properly synchronized between devices, it automatically logs out for security reasons. But the strangest part is that I only have one device, my new phone. This raises the question: what other devices are my data being synchronized with? The only thing I used that new WhatsApp account for was receiving a verification code from Facebook to log into my new account. And now my new Facebook already shows a login from an unfamiliar device. My partner also mentioned twice recently that he had received emails about suspicious login attempts to his Microsoft account, which, by the way, is new. He had never mentioned it before, just like he had never mentioned the new Authenticator app that he also did not have before. When I talked to him about my suspicions and fears, he admitted that everything happening to me looked very advanced. According to him, on a difficulty scale, it was a 10 out of 10. At the same time, he claimed that his own technical skills were at most a 3 out of 10. Everyone who knows us says that this is a lie. He is extremely knowledgeable about technology. He is the lead electrical technician at a company that manufactures mobile homes. He asked what he could do to prove that it wasn't him or to help me feel calmer. I suggested that since he claims he only uses his tablet to listen to videos while commuting to and from work, he should simply leave it at home when he is not working. He categorically refused. It has become a pattern that every time something strange happens and I bring it up, he gets increasingly angry and cannot understand why I cannot just let it go. When I asked why it didn't bother him that someone was doing all this to me, to us, he answered, "Everyone is being monitored." He said it did not bother him at all, and that my anxiety and my condition did not concern him in the slightest. I want to note that at the very beginning when I had my first phone, it contained all of his bank cards and credit cards, and none of them were touched. My identity was not stolen. So that is not. It is also important that the hidden conversations with other women and the exchanged photos are not the core issue here. He knows perfectly well that I am not against him being with other women if he wants to. My real problem is the lying and the concealment of everything. If I know and he knows that I am not against infidelity, then what is so terrible that he is hiding? Is he hiding the fact that for this he is willing to literally psychologically destroy me by building an entire system of deception? Could it be that his contacts, app activity, and my phone issues are all part of something bigger that I simply do not yet understand? My father is in prison. He is a powerful man, capable of any forms of surveillance and manipulation, which my partner knows. I even suggested that perhaps he is behind all of this. Or perhaps everything is much simpler. The person I have been sleeping in the same bed with for the past 15 years is simply psychologically abusing me in order to hide something far more horrible than infidelity, or spending money on websites like OnlyFans. By the way, he has that app installed as well. And ultimately, how can I prove everything that has happened and continues to happen so that I can immediately take him to court for everything he has done and is doing to me now? I can no longer swing between the thoughts. No, he couldn't. And oh my God, he really is doing this. I have numerous screenshots from his devices and from my damaged phone. And this is only part of the story. Please help me. Make all of this finally stop. So before we continue, I suggest writing your opinion about this story. Personally, I believe that part of the woman's paranoia is justified, and part of it is simply normal system behavior. But the way the partner behaves, denying obvious facts, is certainly very bad and is an extremely alarming red flag. Let's move on to the next story. Story 2, strange items in my mailbox. Someone is placing strange objects into my mailbox. I usually don't post on forums, but right now I really need advice. For the past 2 months, someone has been placing strange things into my mailbox. I moved into my apartment about 11 months ago, and during all this time nothing unusual had happened. I live alone and barely interact with my neighbors, except for occasionally holding doors open for each. About 2 months ago at the beginning of May I went to check my mail. I usually do this a couple of times a week. When I opened the mailbox, there was some advertising junk mail and one black button. I was very surprised by the button but didn't attach much importance to it. I decided it must have ended up there by accident. The following week, I checked my mail again, and this time there was nothing except a small piece of paper with some nonsense written on it. GL Wed Honest WG. I have no idea what that is supposed to mean. For a while, nothing else happened and I almost forgot about it. But at the end of June when I checked the mail again, there were several screws inside. At that point, I decided that someone was just playing a prank on me and throwing random trash they found outside into my mailbox. A few days later, I found another piece of paper. This time it had my full name written on it. That was the final straw. I went to talk to the building manager, and he again said that he would look into it. But honestly, he spoke as if he didn't really care. Yesterday, I found something in my mailbox again. Someone had left a note with a to-do list. Buy sweet potatoes, feed her, check the mailbox. Be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Last night, I went to stay at my girlfriend's place. I wrote an email to the building management, hoping to get at least some answers. Does anyone have any ideas what all of this could mean? Or has anyone encountered something similar? All of this seems so meaningless and requires so much effort that it doesn't feel like a typical prank. Edited. The mailboxes can only be opened with a special key. That is important to clarify. They are all located outside in a small shed. I don't know whether someone could somehow break the lock or slip something inside. As of today, July 23, 2025, I have already contacted the police. This morning, I returned from my girlfriend's place and discovered that the door to my apartment was open, even though I am absolutely certain that I locked it. When I went inside, it was obvious that someone had been there. My belongings, furniture, and papers on the table looked like they had been moved and then roughly put back in place. I couldn't tell whether anything was missing but expensive items, my monitor, TV, and headphones. I immediately called the police, and 2 officers arrived to file a report. They advised me to stay at my girlfriend's place while the investigation is ongoing, and informed the building management. Tomorrow, I will most likely receive a call from the police station, so that we can go over everything again, and try to understand what is happening. I have no more news at this point. I have no idea who could have been inside my apartment. I don't know many people in this city and cannot imagine who would do something like this. It is obvious that someone specifically targeted me and apparently has access to the keys to both my mailbox and my apartment door. I am confident that the building management will cooperate with the police and check the security cameras and everything else. I will update as soon as I learn anything new. Thank you to everyone for the comments and for trying to help. Final update. Thank you all for the advice. With the help of the police, the building management, and all of you, we managed to figure out what happened. The building managers reviewed the security camera footage and were able to identify who had been entering my apartment. It turned out that the person who lived here before me somehow kept a set of keys to both the apartment door and the mailbox. After the building management contacted the police, they located the woman using the address she had left for the return of her security deposit. She essentially confessed to everything. It was her who had been placing items into my mailbox. The police said that she has serious mental health issues and that all the notes and lists were a result of her illness. They also explained that she most likely saw my name on mail, and that is how she learned my name. What shocked and frightened me the most was that the police said she had been inside my apartment several times, which means that it is entirely possible that she was there while I was sleeping. That is terrifying. I am not going to post any more updates and want to forget this situation as soon as possible. Thank you all for your help. I hope no one ever has to go through something like this. I think this is the strangest thing that has ever happened in my life. Well, thank you for listening to